Hi Nana. Yes, today we are going to start a new track in chemistry. So organic chemistry, the most important lesson, and it covers most of the important concepts related to IIT. Okay, right. So actually, during the beginning of 19th century, scientists have classified the elements. Scientists has classified the substances into two classes. So during at the beginning of 19th century, so two class of substances. What are they? Uh, organic substances, organic substances, and inorganic substances. Organic substances and inorganic substances. Based on what? Based on their origin. Based on the origin of the substances, based on the origin of the substances, all the known substances were classified into organic substances and inorganic substances. So this is what? Based on what? Based on their origin. That means the source of origin. Organic substances were thought to be obtained, they were derived from living organisms. Organic substances, they were thought to be derived from living organisms. Okay, and inorganic substances, uh, they were obtained from minerals which are present in the earth crust. So that means based on their origin. So organic substances are originated from the living organisms, and inorganic substances, they are obtained from the minerals or else gases which are present in the earth's crust. Okay, the word organos means life. Organic, organos means life. It is related to life. Organos means it is related to life. Okay, see, there was a strong belief that organic compounds have vital force. There was a strong belief that organic substances or else organic compounds, they possess vital force, a special type of force, and such force is not present in the inorganic substances. A vital force which derives all the functions of a living organism. Okay, so that vital force, it is present in the organic substances. So in the earlier days, scientists, they used to believe that organic substances only possess these vital force, whereas inorganic substances cannot possess this vital force. That is the reason why that is the reason why they believe that organic substances are originated only in living organisms. So because organic substances, they possess vital force, so they are said to be present only in the living organisms. They are said to be prepared only in the living organisms, and outside of the living organisms, the organic substances cannot be prepared. So in this way they thought in the earlier days. Okay, at the same time, these organic substances cannot be prepared from the inorganic substances. So in this way they thought, that means they have strong belief that organic substances can be prepared only inside the living organisms, and they cannot be prepared from the inorganic substances. Okay, because organic substances, they possess a special force known as vital force. So that is why they cannot be prepared from the inorganic substances. So in this way the scientists, they have a strong belief, but this belief was this belief was shattered. This belief was shattered with the synthesis of a organic substance in the laboratory. See, before that, scientists, they thought that organic substances cannot be prepared in the laboratory artificially. But a scientist known as Wohler, he prepared the organic substance known as urea. He prepared the organic substance known as urea in the laboratory by using inorganic substances for the first time. So this is the first organic substance which is prepared by the man. The first organic substance which is prepared by the man in the laboratory is urea. Okay, so when he was conducting some experiments, okay, with some chemicals like sodium cyanate and ammonium chloride. So when these two substances were heated, so accidentally this substance it has been converted into ammonium cyanate. It was converted into ammonium cyanate, and the reaction is not stopped because he could not. He was not there in the laboratory while the reaction is going on. So what happened? So this substance which is from during the due to that experimental conditions, this substance has further undergone some chemical reactions, and finally, so this substance is converted into urea. What is the formula of urea? NH2 CO NH2. So this substance has been transformed into this substance, and find this is the organic substance, whereas this is inorganic substance. Okay, this is organic, whereas this is inorganic substance. Okay, so like this the first organic substance urea. It was prepared in the laboratory. Okay, so from so with the preparation of this urea, so the belief that we cannot prepare organic substances in the laboratory, so that belief was shattered away. Okay, so that belief was thought to be failed. That belief was thought to be wrong. So from then onwards, scientists, they started preparing organic substances. So many organic substances they have prepared now. Almost more than 6 million of organic substances have been are present in the nature. So many organic substances out of these substances were synthesized in the laboratory. Okay, right. Okay, let it be. So what now? Now, before that, organic substances, organic chemistry, it was given that it is related to only living organisms before that. But now the organic chemistry means it's a study of carbon and its compounds. Organic chemistry means it is nothing but the study of carbon and its compounds. Organic chemistry is nothing but the study of carbon and its compounds. Actually, in organic compounds, mainly carbon, it is the essential element. Okay, in addition to carbon, there are so many other elements also, like hydrogen, halogens, sulfur, oxygen, etc. So many other elements are also present. But here, the main element in organic compound, the compounds related to carbon are said to be organic compounds mainly. Okay, with few exceptions like carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, it is not a organic compound. Carbonic acid is not an organic compound. So like this. So very few exceptions. Sodium carbonate is not an organic compound. Sodium bicarbonate is not an organic compound. So there are few exceptions. So most of the carbon related compounds, almost carbon related compounds are said to be organic compounds. Okay, see, these organic compounds, they were now they occur naturally, as well as they can be prepared in the laboratory. Okay, so whatever the source now before that, living organisms was only the source of organic compounds, but now even in the laboratory also, now we are able to prepare the organic compounds. Okay, so whatever the way the organic compound is prepared, actually the organic compound which was prepared, it is always with the impurities. It is always mixed with impurities along with the organic compounds. So first step to study about the organic chemistry is purification. Purification of organic compounds. Why organic compounds should be purified? Because in the formation of organic compounds, there are some other compounds also formed along with the organic compounds. We have to remove those organic compounds. We have to remove those other compounds and make the organic compounds as pure organic compounds. Okay, before study of any organic compound, first we have to isolate that organic compound in the pure state. Isolate means separate. So we have to we have to obtain the organic compound in the pure state. So for that we have to we have to do a process known as purification. So the first process is purification of organic compounds. After the purification of organic compounds, what do we do? So we will analyze. We will go with the analysis of organic compounds. Analysis of organic compounds. What is the meaning of analysis? Analysis means determining. Okay, determining what is present in it. Okay, like what do we determine? Analysis contains, there are several steps in analysis. So the first step is estimation of analysis or elemental analysis. First step is elemental analysis. Elemental analysis. What is elemental analysis? So we will analyze, or else we will find out. Analyze means to find out. By conducting some experiments, we will find out what are the elements present in the these compounds, organic compounds. Generally, elemental analysis is of two types. Elemental analysis is of two types. One is qualitative analysis. One is qualitative analysis, and another one is quantitative analysis. First of all, we have to purify the organic compound, and we have to remove the other impurities which are present in the organic compound. Okay, now after the obtaining of organic compound in the pure state, now we will perform analysis of that organic compound. Okay, so in the process of analysis of organic compound, first of all we will go with the elemental analysis. Elemental analysis means what are the elements present in that compound. Okay, so elemental analysis includes what are the elements present in the compound and what is the proportion of each element present in the compound. What is the proportion, or else what is the ratio, or else what is the amount of each element present in the compound. So generally quantitative analysis, it is in the quantitative analysis we will find what are the elements present in the organic compound which is obtained, okay, or else which is isolated. Generally a qualitative analysis, the elements which are present in organic compounds are mainly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, halogens, sulfur. X means halogens, sulfur, phosphorus, okay, etc. So mainly these are the elements which are present in most of the organic compounds. Okay, so these are the main elements which are present in the most of the organic compounds. I mean, these two are carbon and nitrogen are important elements. So along with carbon and nitrogen, sometimes these organic compounds, they may contain oxygen, they may contain nitrogen, they may contain halogens. X means halogen, maybe fluorine or chlorine or bromine or iodine. Okay, sulfur, phosphorus, etc. So these are the important elements which are present in most of the organic compounds are made up of mainly these elements. Okay, okay. Next step in the elemental analysis is, so after identification of what are the elements, and we will find how much amount of each element is present. So that is called as quantitative analysis. Okay, so after quantitative analysis, in quantitative analysis, what do you find? You will find the amount of each element in the, okay, amount of each element in organic compound. This amount of each element may be measured in the ratios relative. That means how much ratio of carbon is present and how much ratio of hydrogen is present in that compound. So like that. So that quantitative means how much, quantity means how much. So it is related to how much, that means the amount. So it may be measured either in ratios or fractions or in percentages. Ratios or fractions or in percentage of the element. So in this way we will do an elemental analysis first. After the performing of elemental analysis, after knowing what are the elements present in the compound and how much percentage of each element is present in the compound, then we will go with the formula analysis. We will go with the formula analysis. Okay, we will go with the formula analysis. What is formula analysis? Again, formula analysis. So with the help of percentages, or else ratios or fractions, we will find out the empirical formula first. We will find out the empirical formula. Okay, and from by knowing the empirical formula, and finally we will find out what is the molecular formula. What is the molecular formula? So in this way, so we will find the empirical formula and molecular formula. So in this process is called as formula analysis. And the next step is structural analysis. The next step is structural analysis. So finally, what do you do? After knowing what is the molecular formula, we will find what is the structure. What is the structure of the that organic compound? Structure means arrangement of atoms. How the atoms are arranged. How one atom is linked, or else how one atom is bonded to another atom. So like this. So how all the atoms present in the molecule are arranged. How they are linked to each other. Either they are linked by double bond or single bond, or else any type of bonds. So like that. So all those things are studied under structural analysis. So like this, the analysis of organic compounds we will do. So first step is purification, next step is analysis, and after analysis only we will use those organic compounds for our usage. Okay, we will make the usage of that organic compound. Okay, right. So now out of all these things, first we will start with the qualitative analysis. Okay, so elemental analysis we will see now. So purification techniques we will learn in the later stages. Okay, so now we will start with the elemental analysis, and in elemental analysis, so we will start with the qualitative analysis. Okay, right. Qualitative analysis of organic compounds. Qualitative analysis. What is qualitative analysis? Qualitative analysis means actually it involves the detection of all elements present in the organic compound. So qualitative analysis involves the detection of all elements. Qualitative analysis of organic compound. It involves what? Detection of all elements present in that compound. Present in that organic compound. Mainly carbon, hydrogen, and all those things. Already we have seen what are the common elements which are present in the organic compounds. We have seen. So out of which, and what are the elements? So we have seen that carbon, hydrogen are the most important elements present in the organic compounds. So carbon is it is the most important element. So without carbon, so it is not called as organic compound. Okay, right. Along with carbon, hydrogen is also present in majority of the organic compounds. Hydrogen is present. So along with hydrogen, so already we have seen oxygen, halogens, phosphorus, nitrogen, sulfur, etc. So now we will go with the detection of these compounds. How to detect whether the presence of these elements are there in the organic compound? How to find the how to detect the presence of these organic compounds will be learnt in qualitative analysis. Okay, so first of all we will learn how to find out carbon and hydrogen, detection of carbon and hydrogen. So for the detection of carbon and hydrogen, so there is a method known as Liebig's method. Liebig's method. L-I-E-B-I-G-S. Liebig's method. So by Liebig's method, we will find out. We will detect the elements, mainly carbon and hydrogen. So in Liebig, this method is also called as it's a type of test. It's also called as copper oxide test. It's also called as copper oxide test. So in this test, actually, in the detection of carbon and hydrogen, so we will use first we will take a mixture. So a hard glass test tube. Okay, so in this hard glass tube we will pour a mixture of what? We will pour mixture of organic compound. So this is the substance. So it contains what? Organic compound plus double the amount of copper oxide. So double the amount of copper oxide. Cu. Suppose if you take 5 grams of organic compound in this, so we have to take 10 grams of copper oxide. So like this. So the double the amount of the copper oxide should be taken in the hard glass test tube. Okay, and this hard glass test tube, okay, it is having one hole rubber stopper. It is fitted with one hole rubber stopper, and into this rubber stopper a delivery tube is allowed. Delivery tube, it is having a bulb in the middle. Okay, now this is called as a delivery tube. Already we know what is delivery tube. We learned in our lower classes. Okay, right. Now this delivery tube, it is allowed to dip. It is allowed to dip in a solution known as lime water. So lime water. So this is what lime water. Lime water. Lime water. What is lime water? Calcium hydroxide. So what lime water means? Calcium hydroxide solution. CaOH solution is said to be lime water. So now this is the bulb. Okay, in this bulb we will add a copper sulfate crystals. Copper sulfate crystals. Copper sulfate CuSO4. CuSO4. It is called as anhydrous copper sulfate. Anhydrous copper sulfate. It is poured in a bulb, so which is white in color. A white colored substance, anhydrous copper sulfate. Now start heating this one. Okay, the flame. Upon heating this one, upon heating the mixture of organic compound and copper oxide, upon heating the mixture of organic compound and the copper oxide, what happens? Slowly the gases, these gases, here what happens? That if the organic compound is having carbon, so that carbon, if it is having carbon, so already we know carbon and hydrogens are generally present. So here the carbon is oxidized by copper oxide to carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon in the compound, organic compound. The carbon in the organic compound, it is when it is strongly heated. Actually, when the organic compound is strongly heated, the carbon which is present in the organic compound, it is oxidized to carbon dioxide by copper oxide. Okay, and also, in the reaction, so what happens? Carbon dioxide, so 2Cu, and even hydrogen. Hydrogen is also oxidized. Hydrogen is also oxidized in the hydrogen which is present in the organic compound is also oxidized to water. Okay, H2O, so Cu. So like this. So these two substances, these two vapors are formed. So in the test tube. So mainly these two vapors are formed in the test tube. So because this copper oxide will oxidize carbon and hydrogen. Okay. So these this carbon and hydrogen, it is oxidized to carbon dioxide and water, and it will escape through this delivery tube. Now here this water, when it comes into contact with the copper sulfate, anhydrous copper sulfate, what happens? This is a white powder. So this white powder will turn into blue color substance. When the white powder is turned into blue color substance, this white powder, when it turns into blue color substance, it indicates that water vapor, that means this gas is having water vapor. So when water vapor is formed, how water vapor is obtained? So water vapor is obtained when unless until there is hydrogen in this compound, unless and until there is hydrogen in this compound, the formation of water vapor does not take place during this reaction. That means compulsory there should be hydrogen in the compound. So from this it is understood that this compound is having hydrogen. Right. Now what happens? This gas slowly moves through this delivery tube and finally reaches to this lime water. So actually lime water initially it was colorless. It was colorless initially, but when this gas it is introduced into this one, into this lime water. So this lime water, it is turned to white, milky white. Milky white. The lime water will turn into milky white. So the substance which turns lime water into milky white is carbon dioxide. That means here this gas mixture it is having carbon dioxide also. So where does this carbon dioxide is obtained? So from this it is understood that carbon dioxide is formed during this reaction, and that carbon dioxide is changing the color of lime water. So as carbon dioxide is produced in this reaction, so it is understood that carbon is present in the in that compound. So from this it is understood that both carbon and hydrogen are they are present in this compound. So in this way, Liebig method helps us to detect the presence of carbon and hydrogen uh, in the compound. See, look here, the blue color substance which is formed here in this bulb. So this is what, this is bulb, this color is bulb. What is this one? This is the delivery tube. Delivery tube. So the blue colored substance which is present here, which is formed in the bulb. So its formula is CuSO4 dot 5H2. So it is called as blue vitriol. It is also called as blue vitriol. Blue vitriol is formed in this substance. So blue vitriol is formed from anhydrous copper sulfate. So the only substance which converts anhydrous copper sulfate to blue vitriol is water. So from this it is understood. So water is present.